Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make homemade 808 trappy subs. All right, let's listen to some. Okay, so they all have like their own types of attacks. And these will all be for free in the description. These are all ones I made from scratch. And here is one in a track that I made. Had the loop on. But yeah, and this track will be on my SoundCloud if you want it. It's free. So let's start making them. The way I like to approach 808 construction is I separate the 808s into 3 parts. So let's look at one in a frequency analyzer so we can get a better idea of what I'm talking about. Okay. So you'll notice there's this part right here, which is the sub. Then there's this region right here, which is like what I like to call the harmonic layer or the overtone layer. And then there's one big ass harmonic, and that's really important for getting across on small systems. And then the final layer is the attack, which occupies kind of over here and down there. And sorry about the crackling, that's my audio interface crying. And so we're going to start first with this sub layer right here. I want to show you the overtone layer, and then I'll show you the attack layer. So the sub layer, as you might have guessed, we're going to be starting with a sine wave. We're going to be storing the crap out of it, and we're going to be splitting it into 2 layers. It's going to be the sub layer and the harmonic layer. So let's start with the sine wave. I'm going to take off all these effects so we can see what they do individually. Okay, so sine wave in silent, just a simple sine wave, one voice, ADSR envelope, no release because I'm controlling the release with my MIDI note length. Let's hear what that sounds like. Literally like a little pop. And if you are on laptops, you're definitely not going to hear that. So we got to start distorting it so you guys can start to hear it. Some amp. Getting there. Just use the EQ. Dry wet at 45. I really like this boost preset, but don't worry about the exact settings I use on my distortions. It's just that you need to distort a sine wave with whatever distortions you like. Some trash. Crispy grunge. Drive at 4. Dry wet at max. Okay. So now we're getting that like early rave kind of sound. More distortion. Harmonic control, drive at 4, all the way up. Okay, now we got something to work with, but we have too many, we have too much distortion up here, so we're gonna have to filter that out. And the other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna be starting to look for harmonics. So what you wanna do is you wanna sweep around, and it's gonna be entirely dependent on your note, and it might change based on the distortion you use. But usually you want to find a nice ringing harmonic that can penetrate on like small systems. Okay. Now I'm just doing a boost in the low end to make sure my sub is at the same level as professionals tracks. And then probably just cutting out some like gross stuff. Yeah, just getting rid of some crunchiness. Side chaining so I can make room for the attack later. And then finally getting rid of pretty much everything. And you'll see why. Because we're going to basically make this harmonic in another layer. So let's hear what this sounds like. Yep, so it's just a big fat sub. That what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate it. So duplicate this patch exactly. And then what we're going to do is starting from that harmonic, we're going to take that information, cut off the sub, and get all this stuff right here. And that part's going to sound like this. Cutting off the distortion that we made up here. But now you can hear that that ooh sound. So that's what we want. And that's what like Festival Trap 808 sound like. And that's how they like come through on small speakers. So let's listen to the sub layer and the harmonic layer together. Okay, cool. And here's another note. Yeah. And I'll tell you guys, every single note is going to need maybe different processing. Even though it sounds okay here, I typically bounce all my notes individually and then process the layers again. So it's a time-consuming process. That's why it's okay to use samples. But it's also fun to know how to use them, or how to make them from scratch. Okay, so next we're going to make the attack layer. And okay, so this is the juicy secrets. The attack layer, it's best to use drum and bass kicks. The reason why we use drum and bass kicks is because they have a spectrum that looks like this. Even if I take away this cut, you can still see it's just basically a rock that exists right here. So I'm using Nicky Romero's kick, a drum and bass kick, and pay attention to the pitch modulation right here. And let's look at a house kick. The house kick's pitch modulation is, there's like a big like stagnant drop right here, and that's what's going to create in a house kick the big subtone, which is, we don't want that because we just made that earlier, and I'll show you what I mean. So let's look at the house kicks frequency, or on an EQ. You see that? You don't want that. This is what a house kick looks like. You have this big fundamental right here. And we don't want that because we just made that up here. So you use a drum and bass kick. And if you make dubstep, use drum and bass kicks because it's that's what a lot of people do. OS or AW5 does that, and I think Virtual Riot does it too. But these things are much better when you have a big ass sub, because not only do they cut through better, they don't interfere with the sub frequencies. And the next part of the attack layer is the click, which is just a clap I use. So you can use whatever you want. Use white noise, use a hi-hat. I like to give it some stereo width, so I just have some room reverb right here. You can barely hear that, but it adds some depth. I also use the milliseconds, or the Ableton's delay right here, and I can delay it so the transient gives the transient some room between the drum and bass kick and the clap. So I think that's everything I wanted to cover. Just to recap, what you're going to do is you take your sine wave, distort the crap out of it, filter it, duplicate it, find harmonics, and boost the crap out of the harmonics. Then layer it with a drum and bass kick, use some side chaining, use some stereo top click thing, can be helpful. And I hope this was helpful to you guys. I'll have these samples in the description for free. And if you liked the video, leave me a like, or leave me a comment, ask me questions. I'll answer all of them. And yeah, if you want to see more, subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.